Welcome back to Nikki's Scrapbooking Adventures. Okay, ladies, December is right around the corner. It is time to look through what you have for your embellishments, stickers, and papers for Christmas. And I can tell you, this is not everything that I own, but I want to show you how to make a notebook to sort your stickers. So you can tell I've just kind of been shoving new things that I get. I just did a haul video and got these two. I just shoved it in here. But we need to take a look at all of our stickers and sort them by color. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a big task, but I think we're up to the challenge. First, we're going to start by gathering all of our sticker sheets. Chipboard I'm going to set aside for now. You can see I've got a lot of stuff for Christmas. Oh, I didn't realize I owned these. This is exciting. I just bought a couple papers for this. See, you never know what you have until you go through it, right? And I'm really excited to use this. This is a new product. It's 8x8 decoupage pad by Violet Studio. But essentially what this is die cuts in an 8x8 format. And if you notice, these die cuts have numbers next to them. So you can pop them out and make your tag dimensional. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. So I'm excited to play with this year. What's also nice is I don't necessarily have to put them together as die cuts, right, that are dimensional. I could decide to use these as individual pieces. So that is my thought process in purchasing that. So that's something different. But we need to look for all of our stickers. Oh my goodness, where are all my stickers? Underneath all this paper that I shoved on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's 5. 6, 7, 8. I think that's it. Then the rest of these are by cut-aparts, generic, like Christmas, red, white, red, green, black, and brown, and gold. So this is just all my papers that aren't actually in collections, and so if I need a color, this is where I go to grab it when I'm doing my Record December. This other stuff is going to go back on top and we're going to put it away. So, be right back. So the first step on this project is going to be to sort these stickers. In the notebook I did before, I only had 3 or 4, not 8, sticker sheets of Halloween. And so I figured I would fit on 6 pages. Now, what I regret not doing is sorting my stickers prior to putting them in the book, because I ran out of space and did multicolor in 2 different spots, in the beginning and the end, because I ran out of space. If you sort prior to, you're less likely to run out of space. So how I'm going to sort these are by color. So I've grabbed a couple pieces of wax paper, and all I'm going to do is stick them on here. And this is going to be kind of your discretion, right? So things that are red are definitely going to go on my red sheet. But things that are multicolor, I need to choose. Is this going to be considered red or is it going to be considered multicolor? In this case, I'm going to put red. This case, I'm probably going to put red. This is going to be multicolor because the green truck is a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to have black and white as a separate category. And I did not measure, like, whatsoever, these pieces of paper. I literally took my handy dandy deal here and just made a section. I made it bigger than 12 by 12 because I am fitting 8 sticker sheets on here. I'm tempted to put these in craft or something like brown, but we'll see. Right, so all multicolor, red, green. Oh, wait. These were supposed to be multicolor. Oh my gosh. Okay, totally confused. See? Confuseded. This new piece of paper was supposed to be for green. Do I have any green? I don't think I have any green on this sticker sheet. Let's take a look. Here's some green, so I don't get confused in the future. There's green. So that is going to be the first step of your project, is to organize your stickers. Your second step is to gather 6 or 7 pieces of 65-pound cardstock in white. Do not use plain paper on this. Yes, you'd be able to get more pages, but they won't be as sturdy. You want what your stickers are on to be sturdy so they don't fall off, because what can happen is you crumple it and they fall off, right? And regular old copy paper just isn't going to cut it. All you're going to do is fold and crease every single piece of paper. Now, if you have a bone folder, that's where this comes in handy. You need to fold and crease individually, not as a group, and put it together. Now, you may have to make 2 notebooks. One for red, one for green, and one for multicolor. So you might have to make 3 notebooks depending on your Christmas stash. Everybody's stash is different, but the notebooks are going to be the same, okay? No more than 7 pieces of 65-pound cardstock. 7 pieces is pushing it with the width of your notebook. It just won't close. It won't look right, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to task you with creasing and folding so that you have a 5.5 by 8.5 notebook. After that, you are going to want to corner round every corner. Just take your corner rounder to every single corner. What this does is that when you pull in and you beat up your notebook, your corners aren't going to bend because you already took them off. There's nothing to bend there. I've creased and corner round all of my papers that are going to go inside of my little notebook. Now we're going to cut our wax paper to size. Now my wax paper is 12 inches wide, 12 inches wide. So in my case, it is beneficial to do 8.5 length instead of 11 length. So I'm just going to cut this in my trimmer. I'm lining it up right here. I'm going to make this edge nice and pretty. And I'm going to do 1/4 inch less than the width, because you want it to not reach all the way over on your paper. So we're going to do 8 1/4 inches, and I am going to do 14 of these because I want my book to be double-sided. And then when I'm done cutting my 14, 8 1/4 wide, long, wide, I don't know, 8 1/4 this way, pieces of wax paper, I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do 10 3/4 this way. So then I end up with a little piece here that I use a lot for titles during my scrapbooking. And I've got a 8 1/4 by 10 3/4 piece of wax paper. 14 of those. One thing that's nice about wax paper is that it's kind of thin. So you can stack up a whole bunch of these. I have no idea how many are here. And cut them all at the same time because you know they're all the same width. And they need to be all the same height-ish. Look at that. So I just did a whole stack of these right in a row. And all you gotta do is line them up. Next step is to just fold them all in half just like we did with the cardstock. End to end, fold it in half. It's a little bit trickier to fold wax paper, so just be aware of that. Make sure your ends line up and fold them. Now, why are we folding these, Nikki? It makes it look nicer. It allows you to line up your wax paper. So once you have folded all of your wax paper, we're going to go ahead and adhere it to our pages. Got one page here, and I've got my art glitter glue. You can absolutely use any clear glue that you have. I've used Elmer's glue before, but I really like the thin application that art glitter glue gives us with this point. So what you're going to do is you're going to line up the creases on your piece of paper, and you're going to put glue on one half. Okay, and you're going to try to get as close to the edge as possible. And then do a bunch of little swirlies in the middle. Once you've got that, you're going to line up the paper again with your seam as best as you can. And then you're going to fold it over on that seam. From there, you're going to push out the glue. You can absolutely use your bone folder to do this. And you're going to want to wipe the excess off so that you don't get glue, like I just did, on top of your wax paper. Because that will ruin the quality of the wax paper and being able to release your stickers nicely. But it'll still work. So that's one half. And then we're going to do the second half. Same deal. We're going to line the edges with our glue as close as we can and do squiggly marks in the middle. Sorry about that weird noise. It is from the metal cap on my glass mat. And then we're going to pull this as tight as we can on that edge and push out the glue so that it hits the edge. That way, what will happen is this edge will be nice and adhered to our paper. You're going to do all of them like that. Let them dry for a little bit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn them inside out. And you're going to crease it again, just so it's nice and clean. It's going to make this look a little bit funky, but that's okay. We're going to do the exact same thing. It is easiest to adhere these on the outside of the page because you can really pull the wax paper in alignment. So we're going to go ahead and line up our edge there. I do lift my left-hand page just a smidge to help me with that alignment. And then pull it forward. Just like that. If you need to add a little bit more glue, you absolutely can. I don't think I've ever added more glue. Not a big deal. And then we do the final page just like we did the last one. Now you can choose to leave this piece like this. So this one being the outside. Or you can flip it back. Either way, it does not really matter. As long as you have wax paper on both the inside and the outside of the page, it is not going to matter whatsoever. I can fold it back this way. like that, or I can leave it like this. Doesn't matter because I creased it. And you're just going to let this dry. The next step is going to be picking our cover. And so we can absolutely let these dry while we pick our cover. So while your pages are drying, let's go ahead and pick out our paper. So I picked out the paper that we're going to look through. It's those big 12 by 12 images, because if we think about it, we're going to go ahead and wrap this book. So what a perfect opportunity to go ahead and use one of these 12 by 12 images. This one wouldn't work because you have to think it'd be cut in half, so that's a no. Same with these two. Same with that one. This would be cute. It would cut the bow off, or I could leave the bow, but the bow would be cut in half, so I'm going to pass on that. Love this one. Oh, how pretty that would be as an album cover. Lower right hand corner is where it's at. This would be cute too. I could, instead of doing a lower right hand corner, pull it to the middle, and so you get that spherical shape, kind of like that. This one would be good. Now I'm thinking, okay, which one of these do I like the least? That's not going to work because it's full image across the bottom. This one's Cartabella, and I love that, so I'm going to save that one. This would be good, but it doesn't scream Christmas. I want it to scream Christmas. That screams winter. That one you won't be able to read the words. This one would be okay, because you would get a border along the bottom or top, depending on what you want to do, and along the edge. But I want a border along the whole thing, if I'm going to do that. Same with this black and white one. This does not scream Christmas to me, so I'm going to pass on that. This screams Christmas, but I like this guy's image too much to sacrifice for a notebook. This would be a great notebook, so I'm between these two pieces of paper. To be honest, it's gonna be this one. I'm not a huge fan of these florals, and I can't decide if they're supposed to go top down or bottom. I think I'm gonna use that as the top of the notebook. So let's go ahead and cut this down. As you know, this is a 5.5 by 8.5 notebook. But when you put all these together, the width actually becomes bigger than 5.5 because of the bulk of this paper. This paper is 65 pounds, so it does have some bulk to it. Plus the wax paper. See how that adds a whole bunch of bulk to this? That adds like a 1/2 inch. That is part of the reason why we limit the number of pages. And I think I'm going to have to actually limit to 5. No, I'm going to do 7 because I have a lot more Christmas stickers and I want to try to get it in one notebook. Although it probably won't happen. So let's kind of tap them. You can see that is a big extra width. So if I measure that, it is actually 5 3/4. Like it grew a 1/4 inch. So that is something to keep in mind. Measure your papers together. That's why we're picking our cover last. This height did not change. This is still 8.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this at 8 3/4 so that I have a little bit, like a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch buffer on either side. So I'm cutting at 8 3/4. Okay. Now, if I want a buffer on this. That's going to be 1/8 of an inch. I will need to make this 5 7/8 times 2, which is almost 6. It is almost 6. So why don't I'm going to get rid of this smidgen of a white here, and I'm not sure where that came from. Oops, excuse me, that moved on me. Smidgen of a white. I'm just going to fold this in half. Okay, meet up end to end. That is one thing that my teachers taught me in art school. You always want to meet up your ends to ends, and then you put your fingers on those ends and you crease the middle and move out so that it doesn't move. Every once in a while it moves because we're human, right? So let's go ahead and crease this. Do I like it like this or like this? I think I like it at the bottom better. Okay. So now when I put this in here, I've got a little bit of a piece there, and I've got a little bit of a piece here. And I think I'm going to stick with 6 inches or 12 inches wide because I've got such an extra lip there. So then, just like our others, I'm going to just go ahead and corner round each of those, because the corners are where it's going to get bent the most. Perfect. So make sure you measure your own paper, because if you're not using 65-pound paper, you might be able to get away with cutting away some of this. And I just can't. Look at how close that is to the edge. That is at the 6-inch mark, essentially. Those papers you don't know what to do with, go grab one of those and use it for your notebook cover. Next step, we're going to bind our notebooks. Now, a staple is not going to go through these. In addition, a normal staple is not going to be long enough to reach the middle. So you are going to have to bind it with thread. You're going to need one of these handy dandy makeshift binding pokers, and I'll list the video where I showed how to do this. And we're just going to go ahead and bind our book. I take this scrap. I'm not going to use this scrap. I know I'm not going to. And I'm going to cut this scrap down to 8.5. I'm going to fold it in half so I can find the center of my notebook. And then I'm going to fold back about 1 inch. 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Let's see, that's about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, on either side. Now, you can choose to poke your holes in individual papers, which is fine. You can absolutely do that, or you can do it all at one time. So I'm grabbing my handy dandy push pin. Other thing that you can use for this is your handy dandy Tool-in-One by Spellbinders. They do have a pokey portion. You can absolutely use that as well. And I think this time, because my papers are 1/4 inch thick, my push pin is 1/2 inch thick, I'm going to go ahead and use my Tool-in-One pokey portion. I've got my handy dandy hole punch board here. Now, We Are Memory Keepers actually came out with a book binding board. It's essentially this. You just lay your book flat. I have always done it this way since I learned how to bind books in high school, and I'm going to continue to do it this way. You're going to want to tap your pages together so that they're nice and even and tight. Get a good grip on it and put it exactly where you want it in your book. So make sure that your margins on top and bottom are even. And you're going to set it in the book and open to the middle page. You can tell I'm not in the middle page yet. Middle page. There's my middle page. Make sure everything is lined up, because once this is done, this is done. Okay? I'm going to take that 8.5 inch piece. I made it 8.5 so I could line up on my inside binding here. And then those creases are going to guide me to where I need to poke my hole all the way through. All the way through. Okay, and I only need 3 holes. Uh-oh, I might need to make a new binder because this now is flimsy. So I've got my 3 holes all the way through to my cover. So I can set this aside, and if I need to, I can just use my hole punch that I used to line everything back up. See, I took it all apart. Now I can use this to line up all 3 holes, because I poked the hole together. So now it's nice and lined up. Okay. Highly recommend getting one of these. We're going to set this aside. We're going to go grab our string. Okay, you can choose to do red, you could do green, you can do white. Whatever floats your boat on the color of string. And we're going to take 2.5 times the length of our book. Overshooting it because we do have to tie a knot. And I would rather have longer strings to tie a knot than not long. Then I'm just going to run this through my wax on both sides of it. Super simple. Pick this up at Joann's, or you can pick it up at a Cherry on Top. I will link it down below. You can see I use it a lot. What's nice about this is if I feel like I'm not getting a good wax, I can open it and turn it and pick a different side. Just make sure to get my ends. So now this is waxed string. See how it's a little bit stiffer than normal floss? It helps. It really does. And I think I would not be successful with threading needles without my needle threader. It just wouldn't happen. Okay. So like we said before, we can use the needle to align our pages. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start from the inside on the leftmost hole, and I am just going to align all of my pages on my needle. Sure, I could push the needle through further and get to the string, but the goal on this first one is so that I can just hold it. I can just hold it where it needs to be. I'm going to keep a length of string because we'll use that to tie our knot. And I'm going to go from the back to the front. Well, excuse me, the cover to the inside. And this is where it gets kind of hard. That's why I was trying to do the fancy thing by holding it, but it looks like it's not going to work. So I can get through that hole there. Oh, well, now I can't even get through that. There we go. Okay, I worked myself through. Okay, pull it tight. You've got a hand on here. Then you go out to this one. And then you go in. Okay. There, got it. Okay, so clearly I left a lot of string. I think you probably only need two times, because that's a lot of string left over. But I got big flimsy hands, so I'm going to tie my knot. I'm going to use my handy dandy needle to hold that knot nice and taut and make a square knot. Didn't do a very good job of keeping that taut, did it? There. Now I can pull this out. I'm going to pull these two strings under and through, and then I'm going to snip it pretty close. So now we have a bound book for all your sticker needs for Christmas. All that's left is to take stickers from your wax paper that you organized earlier and put it in here in a way that you want it. Maybe it's rainbow color, maybe it's by person, like Santa gets a whole page to himself, which might happen in my book. But that is how you make this handy dandy sticker book, sticker notebook. A great gift for other scrapbooking friends. Absolutely. So I will show you some close-ups of how I added my stickers. It's pretty stinking easy. I hope you liked, comment, and subscribe. Please go check out a cherry on top for this and some string and needles and all the fun things that you possibly need. Bone folder. All that stuff. Pretty simple DIY craft you can do in a night. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.